Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today for a very exciting Seabourn webinar. My name is Anna. I'm an Industry Relations Manager here at CLIA, and I'm going to just quickly go through some housekeeping before introducing our presenter. The webinar will run about 35 minutes with time for questions at the end. Please feel free to type your questions into the questions module of the webinar, and we'll get to them at the conclusion of the presentation. The webinar is being recorded and will be posted on CLIA's YouTube channel, which is CLIA Global. And with that, it is my pleasure to introduce our presenter, Steve Smotrice. Steve is responsible for Seabourn's overall global sales efforts, leading the teams who support the travel advisor community in North America, Europe, the United Kingdom, Australia, Asia, the Middle East, and Latin America. Steve and the global sales team are excited to begin this new chapter and telling the brand story about the power of Seabourn moments. Prior to joining Seabourn, Steve served as Vice President of Sales and Trade Marketing, Cunard North America, where he led the Cunard line North America sales team to significantly grow the US and Canadian markets and expand the share of voice within the trade. He joined Princess Cruises in 2000, and over his career within the Carnival Corporation family of brands, he has led teams in revenue management, market planning, shore excursions, and sales. And with that, take it away, Steve.
Thank you so much, Anna, and so great to have this opportunity to talk to everybody today, and I appreciate everybody taking time out of their day. So at Seabourn, we've got a lot going on. We're really going to get into expedition today, and I think most of you probably know we've got two great expedition ships coming, first one coming next April, and we're really going to get into that. Let me get my slides going here, and that's me. But I really want to talk about Seabourn in general a little bit to start off. And I think Anna in the kind of intro mentioned the Seabourn moments. And so I thought I'd kind of kick this off with talking about what Seabourn moments are. So I've been with the brand now almost a year, I think about 11 months. And before I came to the brand, actually, I sailed on Seabourn about 3-4 years ago on Seabourn Encore. And, you know, it really struck me as a really change in my perspective of cruising and what the experience is all about. And I'll never forget when I went on board, and I've sailed on a number of different cruise lines. I've had the good fortune to go to a lot of different luxury resorts and hotels. And I'll never forget when I came back from sailing, my friends and family who know I've been on so many different experiences, they said, well, how was Seabourn? And I said it was the best luxury experience I'd ever had, either land or sea. And so then, of course, that begs the question, well, what was it about Seabourn? And, you know, it really just struck me that, look, the ships are beautiful, it's high-touch luxury, but what really stood out was the feel of the service. And that's all testament to our amazing team that we have on board. And it's just had a certain warmth and authenticity to it. You know, it didn't feel like just somebody serving you. It really felt like this kind of community that's created on board by the team. And so when I came over to Seabourn, I started telling the story to, you know, getting to know everybody, both shoreside and aboard the ships. And this concept of Seabourn moments kept coming up. And I said, well, what is that? And they said, well, it's really creating these really personal moments that are go above and beyond what guests are expecting. And the more and more I started talking to people, I realized this isn't just a concept, it's very much the culture. And there's this certain passion that the team has of creating these really special moments. And I was just on board again. Let me go back real quick. These are all pictures I took when I was on Seabourn Odyssey about 3 weeks ago. And so coming back after, you know, sailing 3-4 years ago, that experience, I felt it all over again and how special it is. And so, you know, now coming over to the brand and working for it and representing it, you know, I feel really proud because I think it is special. I've never experienced anything like it. And so, you know, I hope that at some point in time, your guests or possibly you get to experience these Seabourn moments and see how special they are. But today we are going to talk about, oh, and I wanted to mention real quick before I get into the expedition, again, talking about Seabourn as a whole, we feel like we're in a really great position going forward. And we've got a lot of advantages in our comp set. So we threw this slide together real quick to give you a snapshot of how we stack up against the competition. Our fleet is by far the youngest in the luxury space, and that's not even including the 2 new luxury ships or luxury expedition ships we have coming. We think the size of our ships is really great. It's kind of right in the middle, average guest capacity at 515. We have the largest passenger to space ratio in a world now where social distancing is important. I think guests really appreciate that. We are all suites, so everybody in the space is all suites. We're the only ones that have a marina on our ship. So there was one picture I showed a little bit earlier where all of our ships, the back of it opens up and we've got this great marina. We bring a lot of water toys out, and that's a really unique experience that we have. Of course, our expedition ships we're going to get into. We have an amazing partnership with UNESCO, and we are the only ones with a Michelin 3-star chef, Thomas Keller. So we think we are positioned as a brand overall, but again, we are going to talk about Seabourn Expedition today and our first purpose-built expedition ship, Seabourn Venture, to be joining us this coming April. So let's start. We're going to really dig into Seabourn Venture, but we're going to do some real high level to start. 132 suites and 264 guests on board. So this will be our smallest ship from a guest standpoint. Both of these ships have a PC6 ice strengthened hull. So what does that mean? That means the ship has a reinforced hull that it can go into polar regions with ice as thick as 6 feet. All of our suites on board are oceanfront veranda. We've got every expedition experience. This ship is equipped with every expedition experience you can imagine. We've got 24 Zodiacs. You can do scuba diving, snorkeling, kayaks. We also have 2 custom-built 6-guest submarines. These are really special, and you'll see those a little bit later. And everything about this ship, it is state-of-the-art. It is still ultra luxury, and it is really going to be a game changer in this space. A few more details here. It has over 2,700 square meters of open deck space. Now, one of the things we did is we went to our very experienced expedition team before we built these ships and said, what is missing in the current expedition ships that are out there in this space? And one of the things that they said is really important is you need to have a lot of deck space, and a lot of those ships don't have it, because we want guests to go out. Like if you're in these incredible locations, like in this picture, you want to be out on the space and you want to be feeling the energy of that place and be able to see all the amazing views that are there for the taking. It's, as I mentioned, this is a state-of-the-art ship. And one of the things that's really important is sustainability in our corporation as a culture. And so one of the things that we have is that the ship has special maneuvering ability where it can really navigate into some really remote places. And it also does not have to drop anchor. Now, the advantage of that is you may be going to some places where the environment under the ocean is delicate. So the ability not to have to drop anchor, again, really puts sustainability out there as a priority. The ship has multiple cameras mounted all over the ship, and this really gives us the ability to capture some amazing photography throughout the voyage. We've got a drone that sometimes we've got some amazing opportunities to see some things. We'll launch the drone up, and then we have in-suite heated gear lockers. And this is just some highlights. There's so much that the ship has to offer, and again, we'll see some more of that. So Seabourn is not just jumping into the expedition space. We actually have quite a bit of experience there. So Seabourn Quest has been going down to Antarctica since 2013. So we have a very experienced expedition team led by our Vice President of Expedition Operations, Robin West, and we'll hear a little bit more from him later. And so, I think we are well positioned now to be going and really evolving our expeditions experience to the next level with these purpose-built ships. So we do have significant experience. And we also launched our Ventures by Seabourn, which is doing special, really kind of expedition type experiences that we launched from our current fleet, and even in places like Alaska. And then in 2018, we announced the building of these two really special expedition ships. Just some highlights here again, as we saw earlier, some things I didn't mention. We have an open bridge policy. So if, as long as the captain feels it's safe at the time, guests are invited to come up to the bridge and interact with our team. That's really special. And I think most of the other stuff I've mentioned here as well. So let's really get into looking at Seabourn Venture and how special it is. Now, the ship was designed, the interiors are designed by Adam Tahani. He was responsible for designing both Seabourn Encore and Seabourn Ovation, our most recent ships. Now, he's also very famous for designing a number of luxury boutique hotels and restaurants around the world. And so he's got a very keen eye for the aesthetics that you really want in the luxury space. Now, we wanted there to be some consistency between our current fleet and Seabourn Venture, but that being said, it was also important to create an identity that really matches Expedition. So we told Mr. Tahani, we still want that ultra luxury look and feel, but we want it to reflect a sense of adventure and a bit of a rusticness that reflects the places we'll be going to. And I think no place really reflects that as well as the Expedition Lounge. As you can see, it really is kind of similar to a luxury ski resort, if you will. It's got kind of that rustic edge that the aesthetics, I think, really fit well into this region. And another thing you'll see in all the public spaces, the expedition experience is designed to really create a community, because when you do an expedition, unlike a cruise, it's not like everybody's going to go and do their own thing. Everybody goes on a different shore excursion, let's say. You're really experiencing all these things together. You're going to be seeing most of the same things together each day. And so creating a community is really important. And I think this space does that extremely well. So really love that. That's on deck 4. We're going to do kind of a little tour walking around the ship here, staying on deck 4. Of course, we've got boutiques. Even though the ships are relatively small and from a guest standpoint, we've got a lot of amenities on board. So you're still going to have shopping. You're still going to have a lot of the amenities you would see on other Seabourn ships. Now, a really important venue for Expedition is our Discovery Center. Now, to just kind of put it into context, obviously you would think, okay, you're doing lectures and things like that here, very state-of-the-art space. But this, again, building on that concept of community. So again, I'm going to put it in context. So let's say we've all gone out today and we've been on Zodiacs and we saw whales and some amazing wildlife. You're going to come back, go back to your suite, get cleaned up, and about 6:30 every day, everybody's going to meet here in the Discovery Center. And it's adjacent to the Expedition Lounge that we just saw. And our whole expedition team, 26 members on every single sailing, are all going to be here as well. And they're going to recap everything that we've seen that day. So again, if we saw whales that day, we're going to have the marine biologist come up and he or she is going to talk about what we saw. We've got these amazing LED screens. It's 8 feet tall by 32 feet wide. So, all the great photography we've captured throughout the day and some of the imagery you might not have seen, we're going to display that here. And so it's a really great way to kind of cap off the day. And then we're going to talk about what the plan is for the next day. And it's not just the expedition team lecturing, it is very much, again, the community. It's an opportunity for everybody to ask questions and have that interaction and just really build on that amazing experience that you had during the day. And this expedition team is incredible, and they're going to enhance this experience in so many different ways for our guests. Now, continuing our tour, staying on deck 4, like our other ships, we do have the restaurant. This is our main restaurant. As you can see, even though this is an expedition experience, we still have that look and feel of ultra luxury. And this is a beautiful dining room. We actually have 8 different dining options throughout the ship. So even though it's a relatively small ship, you still have a lot of options. We're going to dip down now to deck 3 real quick. Now, this is a really important space on an expedition ship. This is our landing zone, or what is often referred to as the mudroom. So if you're going to go out on Zodiacs or whatever the experience is, this is really where you're going to go and kind of prep for the day and where everything's going to launch from. And as you can see, it's a really, really fantastic space there. Moving back up to deck 4, this is our atrium. All of our ships have a beautiful atrium with a spiral staircase, if you've been on any of the other Seabourn ships. But this one's a little bit different, again, reflecting the places that we're going to go and tying into the aesthetics of the rest of the ship. This atrium is really cool. Again, I mentioned there's a number of different dining options. The Colonnade we also have on all of our other Seabourn ships. And this is a great option throughout the day. You can go and have some fantastic options. As I mentioned, a lot of great deck space. We're moving up to deck 5 now. The Colonnade Aft in the back of the ship is one of our largest deck spaces. We've got an infinity pool there as well. And can you imagine if you're going to a location like this, what great sight lines you're going to have from this fantastic venue. Now, probably the other largest deck space on the ship is the bow. And if you ask anybody who's, knows cruising well, or especially expedition well, what's the best place to view these great locations that we're going to be going? And they would say the bow. Now, the problem on a lot of ships is the bow has a lot of equipment on there. On Seabourn Venture and her sister ship, the bow is completely open deck space. So if you can imagine, if you're going someplace like the Arctic and you're cutting through navigating through ice, if you can go all the way out on the tip of the ship and be able to look down and see the ship as it maneuvers through, I don't think you're going to find a better vantage point than you are there. So you can be outside on the bow. Now, obviously, some of the places like you're in the Arctic, it could get a little chilly out there and you might want to take a little break from that. You can, just adjacent to that, you can come inside here to this fantastic bow lounge. Now the bow lounge, I think this is a really cool place. They've equipped it with a lot of different navigation equipment, radar. We've got touch screens where you can kind of see, as I mentioned, there's cameras mounted around the ship, and you're going to be able to see live feeds from those cameras on these touch screens. So you can really fully immerse yourself in the experience of expedition here. And why not, while you're here in this beautiful lounge, you can have a nice coffee or tea. And so I think this is a great option and really ties into that whole bow experience extremely well. Now we're going to move up to deck 6, and we're going to Seabourn Square. And so again, if you've been on one of the other Seabourn ships, Seabourn Square is a very popular venue. And so you can go here and you have specialty coffees, you can have small bites to eat. But what it also does is, rather than you needed to go and talk to the purser's desk, or you needed to talk to the destination expert, future cruises or things like that, rather than waiting in line for that, you come to this Seabourn Square and grab a coffee, relax, do a little reading, and when it's your turn, they'll come and get you and they'll bring you over to their desk. So I think it's, again, elevating that whole experience in Seabourn Square. Very popular on our ships, so it was important to have that experience on Seabourn Venture as well. And this is another view of it. I think this is actually a better view. And then if you want to go outside from Seabourn Square, there's another great deck space right outside. And here is Square Aft. And what I really like about this one is you can be outside, yet it is covered. So let's say, we did get a little bit of rain on this particular day. You could still be outside enjoying the outdoors, but be protected from the elements. Now, wellness and spa is extremely important for us. I think you'll all agree that wellness experiences is growing more and more in vacation space overall. And we've got a great partnership with Andrew Will, who is a wellness expert. So it's not just spa. I know these slides say spa, but it's beyond spa. We have great wellness programs. We can curate a tailor-made program for our guests if they want to do something, a little something different every single day. We've got meditation and yoga, and we've got a great gym. We've got classes and seminars about diet, let's say pain management, things like that. You can do acupuncture, and why not have a great massage along the way? Think about having a massage with, of course, a great view. Everywhere on the ship, as you'll see, we've got really floor to ceiling windows, so you can always make sure that no matter what's going on outside, no matter where you are, you're still going to be able to see it. And check out this sauna. Pretty special to be in a sauna and still have an amazing view outside. So moving on to up to deck 9, the club, again, one of our spaces that is on our other ships. This is a great evening space where you'll have live entertainment, have fantastic cocktails, and again, adding to the breadth of all the different venues that we have on board. Back of the ship on deck 9, we've got the sky bar. As you can see, we've got some nice hot tubs up there, but you got a bar close by, and again, beautiful view lines. Constellation Lounge, I think this is one of my favorite ones. Front of the ship, it is on deck 9, so it is a deck above the bridge. So effectively, you're going to see the exact same view that the captain and his team are seeing. You can see this really fantastic panoramic view and the great bar right in the middle. I can't think of a better place on board where if you wanted to go before dinner and have cocktails or after dinner drinks and relax, or even in the morning as you're starting off the day early before you're going to go out on your experience, to be able to go up here, have a coffee, and take in the views. Okay, so those are the public spaces. Let's move on to our suites on board. As I mentioned, all veranda suites. This is a standard veranda, so the lowest category, but as you can see, it's still a beautiful suite space. Like our other ships, we've got fantastic bathrooms. They are floor to ceiling marble throughout. So, you know, even though this is an expedition experience, really important for us to maintain that ultra luxury touch and having all those amenities for our guests, because those are what Seabourn guests expect. Here's the panoramic veranda. Penthouse suite, if you've been on one of our other ships, very reminiscent of that, but again, the aesthetics, look and feels a little bit different. Beautiful owner suite here. Lots more space here to spread out. And this is my favorite, the Winter Garden Suite. So it's a 2-story loft suite, as you can see here. That floor to ceiling window spans both floors, as you can see. So here's the living space downstairs. And then let's go upstairs to where you'll be sleeping. And what an amazing view this would be if you woke up in the morning. Now the question we always get is, oh, who would design a TV to be right there, right in front of my view? But don't worry, that monitor does retract down into the cabinet there. So you do have that spectacular view. Okay, so that is the ship. As you can see, beautiful, incredible, state of the art. But expedition is all about the places you're going to go and the experiences you're going to have. Now, I've noticed kind of talking about expedition, talking to a number of advisors, that if you're not familiar with expedition, it tends to create a lot of questions. So what will my experience be like? What's a typical day look like? How is it different from a cruise? Really doesn't have anything in common with a cruise. It's very, very different. So what we found is a better way of positioning it is to talk about it as a safari at sea. Because if you say the word safari, you really kind of know exactly what we're referring to. You're going to go to remote corners of the earth. You're going to see magnificent wildlife and nature. And expedition is exactly that same thing, but these are places you could only reach by ship. So I think using safari at sea is a great way of positioning the experience. And we're going to be going to some really incredible places. So I want to talk really quick about our inaugural sailings. So we did have a little bit of a delay. Obviously, the pandemic's thrown a little bit of a monkey wrench into everything we've been doing, including the delivery on ships. So we announced last month that she was delayed, but we are very, very confident that this delivery date is going to happen. So her inaugural sailing will be the wild and ancient British Isles, 12 days from London to Edinburgh on April 10th. And so it's interesting when I first heard, oh, we're going to start off with British Isles. Is that really expedition? And our expedition leader, Robin West, said, oh, you have no idea. There is amazing expedition opportunities throughout the British Isles. And he was extremely excited about this opportunity to kicking off our expedition season this way. So that's our first one, 12 days, as we mentioned. And then this next sailing will be Scottish and Norse Legends Expedition. And this is also a 12-day from Edinburgh to Tromsø on April 22nd. So two really exciting itineraries. And then we're going to kick off, and then we're going to jump into the all the itineraries that we had planned previously. So we're going to go up into the Arctic, and we're going to go some really incredible places. So we've got the Arctic and Greenland. Then she's going to work her way down later in the year to the Amazon, and then down to Antarctica. So I would say these places are incredible. I wish I could say I've been to any of them. I'm excited to experience these amazing locations at some point. But I think these stories are better told by our head of expedition, Robin West. So I am going to attempt to play a little video here that we have to give you a better taste of that experience. Okay, hope you all enjoyed that. To get back to We're good. Back to our screen. Okay. So I hope you enjoyed that video. I think it really does a great job of bringing the whole experience to life of what expedition is really all about and what Seabourn expeditions are going to be. And I love how Robin tells that story about these different places that our guests can experience. So I wanted to kind of bring this all back to Seabourn moments. And as I mentioned earlier, Seabourn moments are created by our team on board and their passion. And I think that really comes to life with our expedition team. As I mentioned, you're going to have a team of 26 on board every single one of these sailings. And they are really the connective fiber that brings this experience all together. And they're a collection of naturalists, scientists, academics, and they all share this great passion for exploring. And they're going to take our guests to some incredible places, as you've seen, to have some amazing experiences. Think about being out in a kayak in that place. And I think these are experiences that really inspire people. These create life-changing moments for guests. And coming out of this pandemic, I think people are really looking for that. People have a different perspective of the world. And I think these expedition experiences take that to another level. I think it can inspire people to create change in the world, to be honest. These submarines are going to be an amazing experience. You think about how incredible it would be just to go down to Antarctica. But then you think about seeing Antarctica from 1,000 feet under the ocean. Again, it's a new perspective of the world and how fragile our planet is in so many ways. Again, I think these are experiences people are going to be looking for. Luxury guests are looking to, as I think we all know, they put much greater value on experiences now than they do on tangible items. And so luxury guests are going to be looking for these experiences more than ever. Everybody lost a year and a half of ability to really travel and have these experiences. So they're going to be that much more important to everybody's lives. And as you can see, these pictures, speak 1,000 words for sure. So I hope you all really enjoyed that. I hope it was very helpful and creating a lot of context of what our experience is, how it's different than any other expedition experience out there. And Anna, I'm going to kick it back to you for if we have any questions out there.
Perfect. Thank you. We do have some questions and we have some really amazing comments I want to share. So Dana says that the ships are beautiful and thoughtfully appointed. A comment from David, he loves the Seabourn style and he'll be adding the Seabourn luxury adventures to his luxury collection of partners. And Mike wants to let us know that he just came off Odyssey and your comments on service are right on target. It's the best by far of any brand that he's experienced, and clients were extending their stays. So that is all amazing to hear.
Fantastic. Thanks for sharing that. I appreciate that.
Yeah, always great to hear. We do have a question from David, and I know that everything is constantly changing right now, but he is wondering if you could do a quick overview of your current protocols on COVID vaccination protocols.
Yeah, that's a great question. I'm glad you asked that question. So as I said, I was just on 3 weeks ago, so I got it firsthand and experienced it. Obviously, it's not easy to travel these days, but what I will say is fantastic is once you're on board, everybody felt so relaxed because it's really, when you think about it, a cruise right now, a fully vaccinated cruise is the safest experience, vacation experience you can have. So for us, our protocols are everybody has to be 100% vaccinated. You have to be 2 weeks removed from your second dose of vaccine when there's 2 doses required, or if it's a J&J, then it's obviously just the one. So that's number one. Our crew is also 100% vaccinated. Now, depending on the places we're sailing out of, they are dictating what the testing requirements are. So in the case of Barbados, which Seabourn Odyssey is doing round trip, you have to have a standard PCR test, negative test, 72 hours before entering Barbados. So I know there's rapid PCR tests out there. Barbados requires standard. And then Then when you reach the pier in Barbados, we will do one more test, an antigen test. Once you do all that, you're on board. No masks are required. So the crew is still wearing masks, but the guests do not have to wear masks. So everybody, as I said, all the guests felt so relaxed because they're like, how many places in your life right now do you feel that comfortable? Because it's a controlled population where everybody is tested and vaccinated. So I really love that. It really, really was, you could see it in everybody's face at how comfortable they were. And then we also have Seabourn Innovation that's sailing in Greece right now. Pretty much all the same requirements there. On both ships, the day before disembarking, we provide either a PCR or antigen test, whatever you need to get back into your country of origin. We provide that for free. We actually, really interestingly, in true Seabourn style, we've made it a bit of an event. So you come into the theater, they've got the red carpet rolled out, they're serving champagne and snacks, playing music, and then you just lounge around until it's your turn to take the test. You go behind a screen, they take care of it, and you're done and on your way. So really love that they've made it so that it doesn't feel like it's intruding on your vacation and your experience. Then I know the other question around protocols is what about shore excursions? Now, again, to maintain this fully controlled safety bubble, we only are providing our sourced shore excursions. Now, this is not a Seabourn decision. This is required by the places that we are going. And so, because those tour operators that we're sourcing are following the same safety protocols to, again, maintain this kind of safe bubble. So I think some people were a little upset about that initially, but then those who came on board said, I'm glad you guys did that because it did give me the peace of mind. And, we still offer so many different options from a short excursion point of view. So that's really kind of, I think, summarizes the protocols, and we're continuing to do that at least until the first of the year, but I would suspect we may be extending that as well.
Okay, got it. And our next question is from Leticia, who is wondering if Seabourn is a good option for families with young children.
So we don't have a kids program or anything like that, but we do get some kids on board once in a while. So I think it depends on the family and the kids and what they're looking for. If even the expedition, I think people think, well, there's all this adventure. One of the things is, can I bring my child? And if you have mobility issues, can I come? And absolutely, we can still bring people onto the Zodiacs and we can make that all work. So, I think it depends on the individuals and what they're looking for. If you've got younger children and you really want to have that kids program to keep them entertained, then maybe Seabourn's not the best fit. But, we still do get a number of kids. And actually, when I was on board a few weeks ago, there was a couple 12 and 13-year-olds. And actually asked them, like, are you having fun? And they're like, oh, we're having a great time. So, again, it depends on the kids and the family.
Okay, got it. And you did just touch on this, but Dana is wondering if wheelchairs and power wheelchairs are available on the expedition ships and how Seabourn treats any sort of mobility issues at all.
Yeah, and I've got that question quite a bit. And again, like I spend a lot of time talking to our head of expedition, Robin West, who was on the video. And, he's made it very much a point that, look, we don't want mobility issues to be a deterrent. We want all people to be able to have this experience. So, my suggestion would be to call our customer service team and let's talk about what the mobility issues are, what are the concerns, and we can go into a little bit more detail of what experiences they'll be able to still partake in. Obviously they won't be able to do everything, but again, we've got 24 Zodiacs on board, and a lot of these experiences are going to be going out on the water in the Zodiacs, and we can make that work with most people with mobility issues.
Okay, got it. And it looks like this will be our last question from Edward. I know that you mentioned that so many things are included, and he is wondering what is not included in the price.
that's a great question. So for our overall, let's talk about the core fleet of 5 ships that we currently have. Everything is included, including Wi-Fi. We recently rolled that in. Your food, your drinks. We don't have like a specialty restaurant surcharge or anything like that. All of the restaurants, including our Thomas Keller Grill, that's all included. The only things you would be paying for are things like shore excursions. Now, I know there's others in our luxury space that do include shore excursions. We made a conscious decision not to do that. We talked to a number of advisors, a number of guests, and what we found is a lot of our guests, they don't want to be limited to the excursions that may be included in the price. So an example is, you may be a guest who says, I want to get a private car experience and do what I want to do in that port. But you've already included a shore excursion that I don't want to do in the price. So even people, I think we all know, even people have a lot of money, they're still value conscious. And they're like, well, I don't want to pay for that and then do my private. So after having a lot of these conversations with guests and advisors, we made the decision not to include shore excursions. So that would be extra. And then the only other thing would be any like premium high level like wines and spirits, and also your spa and wellness experiences that you decide to do, because again, that's curated, that depends on what the guests want. So, so those are really the only things. On the expedition ship, the only things that cost extra are the kayaks and the submarines. And that's because there's limited space. Now, if we're going someplace where we can do the submarines, most likely we'll be able to get everybody on the submarine. But the submarine is probably going to cost between about $400 and $500. It is about a 45-minute experience. So those are the only things. In kayaks, we only have a limited number, so it's the reason we charge, and that's a relatively small amount. But everything else is included. Every other expedition experience that is available is included in the cruise fare.
Okay, got it. Thank you. And those are all of our questions. So thank you so much, Steve, for all of that wonderful information. And thank you, everyone, for joining us.
Great. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate you joining. Thanks, Anna.
Have a great rest of your week, everyone. Bye.
You too. Bye-bye.